Well, maybe Saddam could have had nuclear weapons. He had a nuclear program.
But he did not have nuclear weapons or a nuclear program, now did he?
When it comes to nuclear weapons, I can't afford to take chances. His nuclear program... His nuclear program...
For God's sake, it's nuclear, not nuclear. Nuclear.
That's what I said, nuclear.
It's nuclear.
You know, anybody who's trying to work out who I am, then they're going to hate my guts before they find out who I actually truly am and come across my real sights and understand that I'm actually just, I'm a good people. I'm solid.
Okay, guys, welcome back to the Grimerica show. We are going to be chatting with the nuclear proctologist a little bit later. Dana Durnford, that's right. Which is a fun one, a little doom and gloomy, but hey, when the death Pacific is a possibility, I guess it's bound to be a little doom and gloom. But first, as always, Graham, I wear my shorts in sub-zero temperatures Dunlop. How's it going? You look a little cold.
Well, it's a little cold in Igloo today.
Yeah.
Yesterday was beautiful. I was in my shorts and it was sunny and it was gorgeous. And I don't know, I thought it was kind of ramping up towards spring, but apparently not.
Apparently you did not check the weather.
And I'll be here all day in the studio.
Negative
so hopefully
one.
This electronics and some
Do I need to re-plug in the heater?
Well, it's not even on, the heater?
No.
Why not?
Because it's not plugged in anymore.
Why not?
This spring.
Just
Same reason you're wearing shorts.
Supposed to just keep it at like 5 degrees in here, isn't it?
Oh, it's 5 degrees. It's 5 degrees in here.
I don't think so.
Yeah. You can't see your breath. I'm warm and I'm just wearing jeans and a hoodie.
Anyways, I'm embracing the cold.
Mm-hmm.
I am trying. It's good for you.
Is it?
Yeah.
That's what I hear.
We're too protective indoors.
There's definitely something to that.
Yeah. We need extreme cold and heat. And sun and water.
Word up. So what have you been up to?
I tried, speaking of cold.
What about it?
I tried a little biohack yesterday, if you want to. I don't even like that word. We should come up with a better word.
No, biohack is good. For yours, maybe
because I don't really know
tinkering?
If it's biohack. Tinkering, yeah.
Graham's bio-tinkering.
See, now that we got a jingle, now I'm inspired to try things.
There you go. Speaking of jingles, that is another one from Felixs. We should mention he does have his Bandcamp page over at sirfelix@bandcamp.com.
I'll put a link in the show notes.
We'll put a link in the show notes. And I think I'm going to play, Felixs sent me a song. I can't remember what it's called, but the name will be in the show notes. He sent me a song and he used to play out this episode. It's kind of reminded me of Modest Mouse. Old Modest Mouse, though.
Modest Mouth?
Modest Mouth. Because Modest Mouse came out with like 10 albums before anyone ever heard of him.
Yeah, you like those guys.
I was still in high school when I was listening to Modest Mouth.
Yeah, I only heard about them through you, actually.
Yeah. They used to be cool. They're still pretty cool, but they're just, bound to happen.
Yeah.
When you start being mainstream, then you've come out with something that everybody likes, as opposed to before they were just kind of something that was
doing their own
a little
thing.
more folky.
Yeah.
So
anyways, a couple blocks away from me, they have a new cryotherapy tank.
Oh boy!
At the Bronze Baxx.
So is it cold?
Studio. It's really cold. Like
you
minus.
Just go in there and they turn it on and you fucking freeze.
Yeah, so you go in there in your underwear and they give you these wool booties to wear and then gloves on your hand. So I guess to protect your extremities because it's
what
like
about your penis.
Well, it's in my underwear, right?
Did it shrink up on you?
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. I don't think
your shit don't shrink. When it's that small, there's nowhere to shrink. It'd be an innie. Anyway, continue your cryo story.
No, honestly, when I have a cold shower, sometimes it grows a bit. I don't know what it. So it's really cold, like 100.
Maybe you're shrinking, so it just looks bigger.
71 below or something like that.
What?
Like, yeah, it's like
that's like frostbite.
Yeah.
And you're just in your underwear.
So you have to dry off completely. Like if you're sweating, I don't think they want you sweating at all because then your sweat will probably freeze to your body.
How long are you in there for?
3 minutes.
Jeez.
So they raise up the thing so my head's above it, and your body's in that really cold temperature for 3 minutes, and you can feel it. Like I felt my elbow. I've had problems with my elbow. It was weird because I could feel pain in my elbow where my bones aren't working properly.
My elbow's been killing me the last few weeks. The one I broke a few years ago.
Yeah, that's from a break.
Yeah,
long time ago.
Yeah.
So it's kind of weird how that area hurt. But yeah, it felt pretty good. Felt refreshing.
Were you able to breathe it out, or were you like fucking freezing?
Oh no, yeah, I was breathing through it. Yeah,
oh,
yeah. You can't really.
What if like the guy fell asleep while you were in there? Could you get out?
No.
Or would you just slowly freeze to death?
Yeah, you got to be looking at the person in the eye, making sure they're paying attention to the time. It went by pretty fast. Yeah.
I bet you it felt like a fucking eternity.
No, it went by pretty fast.
The last minute is just like, oh my fucking God, open the door, open the door, open the door. Minus 170. So if you pissed yourself, it would freeze instantly.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, it was all really cold.
It would encase your junk in ice.
Yeah, I mean, they say that the cold water is actually still better than the cryotherapy. Like, that's still healthy for you, but it's better to be
the lake's probably pretty cold right now.
Yeah, I was thinking about that. The ice
just melted off it like 3 days ago. Go jump in?
No, I don't like your little...
You have to like run through the mud and then it's like super shallow.
It's a terrible lake for that. You don't want to be swimming in your lake.
Well, the problem is by the time they fill it up, then it's warm.
Because it's man-made?
Yeah. But they used to do a thing here, I think, where they cut a hole in the ice in the winter and everyone jumped in and the big event.
Really?
Yeah. Someone probably drowned. That was the end of that.
Yeah.
Some fucking doofus.
Yeah. I'd like to go out I'd like to find a good swimming place in the mountains with like proper stream and stuff, proper river. I'm sure there's lots of places. Like, I did go last year.
If you go out to CBX in the middle of summer, you jump in that water and you now have like a time limit to get out because it's fucking freezing. The people that drown there drown because they freeze and their fucking joints stop working.
In the summer?
Yeah. That place is only fucking like 30 miles from where that shit's melting off.
Oh, I think we talked about this. Yeah. Yeah, you'll have to.
It's less than 100 kilometers from where it's melted.
So yeah, there you have it.
For sure.
I'll put a link in the show notes for any local people if they want to go there. It's pretty cool that they have a tank so close to Calgary now.
Do it up.
Now all they need is some infrared saunas and some cold plunges and stuff. Still missing like a big sort of healing center like that.
You know, put it up. No, you can't.
I thought about it.
Right by the river.
Wouldn't that be nice, eh? Yeah. But
so you get distracted and freeze some people to death in your cryo tube.
I was...
I could see you there trying to thaw some lifeless bodies.
Speaking of healing centers, I was at a Reiki sound healing sort of share last night. And it was pretty cool. Pretty cool experience. We were talking about there's a property coming up for sale in Springbank. What's that, like just west of Calgary?
Mm-hmm.
And they already have like a lodge, like a healing sort of lodge there, and it's an acreage. They've got a greenhouse, and it's coming for sale. And we're thinking of trying to figure out a way to fundraise for it, or to try and come up with
what are they asking for it?
Like 1.1 or something like that.
Yeah, that's the trouble.
It's not too, but I mean, if a whole group of people, there's a whole bunch of people that are interested. But I mean, it would be good to have a destination.
Just fill the greenhouse with dope, and you could pay that fucker off in a couple summers.
Well, no, I think the plan would be to grow vegetables and
takes a while to make $1 million selling carrots.
Yeah, but no, I'm not sure what the parameters would be around fundraising, but it would be cool to have a destination. I think the goal is to have it so like yoga workshops for weekends, and people would come to do workshops and stuff there, and then obviously have a normal healing center through the week, and that'd be pretty cool.
There you go. So you froze that guy to death.
So speaking of healing centers as well, I mean, we've been getting this, been going back and forth with a couple of listeners here who
want to open up a healing center.
Yeah. And it was pretty crazy. I was reading their email and I was getting shivers big time because it was like all the stuff that we would want in one So I want to give them some good vibes here because they've been through a crazy story about trying to get this thing off the ground. I don't want to read all the background in it, but it's pretty, I want to send out some vibes for these guys. So it's,
we need a vibe jingle.
Yeah. What do I want to start with here? So I'll read from, this is Jenna and her boyfriend, and she says, our complete everything we want to happen in this business plan includes infrared sauna, complimentary vitamin D therapy in our post-float services room, Reiki, massage, various yoga classes, and a complimentary tea-infused water bar with built-in mini Zen gardens, which we are already building out of bowling alley lanes. So we hope to eventually be completely energy neutral by incorporating... Oh, get this. See, I thought about this one day when I was going to the gym and stuff. I'm like, why can't we generate electricity from bikes, right? Like, why aren't we... I'm doing all this exercise. Why isn't that energy going somewhere?
It takes a lot of bike riding to fucking power your facility.
So she says...
You know how many dudes you need on bikes to power a tanning bed or a cryo tube or an infrared sauna?
Okay, listen. So they hope to be completely energy neutral by incorporating free-to-use workout bikes rigged up to generators. She says Steven knows the technicalities of that part because he's a genius. You earn points to use on services by generating electricity, which is pretty cool. We got really fortunate with our location to have a lot of rooms. We plan to offer things like NA and AA meetings, guest speakers, acupuncture, cupping therapy, anything that falls in line with spreading unique ideas, bettering yourself and elevating others through wellness we're interested in. We're outfitting our 90s Oasis brand tank with colored lights and speakers and hooking up some transducers we have lying around to introduce vibration and frequencies to our guests and the water itself. Nice. That's pretty
Where
cool.
are they in? Is it California?
Missoula.
Missoula
Floatopia.
Montana?
Yeah. No. Is it?
Yeah, Missoula's in Montana. That's not far from here. Like 7 hours.
Why was I thinking it was like...
It's only like 6 hours from here.
Yeah, that's crazy. I was thinking it was like Mississippi or something like that.
It's pretty fucking windy there, too. Throw up a couple windmills.
Oh, yeah, there is. It is in there. Yeah, it is close. Huh. I'll have to go check it out when it opens up.
You'll have to go give us a fucking rundown,
I'll go try some services that we don't have up here.
Yeah.
Like electrifying myself in the float tank.
I'll fucking electrocute you right now. We should just have a cord hanging in here with a couple frayed wires at the end that I can just poke you with.
Oh, that's awesome. So we're incorporating alchemical symbols as well as sacred geometry on the tank in a tasteful way so that we can produce as much healing magic as possible. We originally wanted to include cold plunges in our location, but decided to work on plans for a group cold plunge for charity in the river next year. Let's see. So they've got a whole library, massage therapist with a rescue tortoise and a habitat. This is just awesome.
Sounds great.
Yeah. They're also working on incorporating VR in the tanks for people from phantom limb syndrome and paraplegics who have never experienced what it's like to walk.
Huh.
Of course, you can also watch movies and stuff in there for those who can't stay in the dark and just want to have a fun, unique experience. We've been talking with somebody who works for Microsoft and the HoloLens. That would be interesting. I don't really know how that would work, and of course there are the float purists out there who won't be on board with our ideas, but want to come from an open mind that includes as many people and personalities as possible.
Oh, the float Nazis.
Again, I gather a lot of inspiration from you guys on that front. They're also planning on a mobile float. I can't imagine how that would be, but
I think that's where you take it someplace and set up for the day. What do you think? It's like a trailer you hop in and they drive you around town and drop you off in some weird neighborhood. Both could be interesting.
So yeah, anyway, sending some good vibes out for them. And I think they're going to do a little fundraiser as well. And we'll talk about that on the show and link to it as well. So I want to continue on because she sent me an email about her experience and about her inspiration from our show. I thought I'd read that.
You're going to read all
as
that?
Well. Yeah.
I don't have a jingle for that.
We got time, don't we?
Yeah.
Spam Graham
Graham.
So she says, so I read your email at work. My friend and I cleaned a restaurant for a few hours early morning, and I was thinking about how if you would have opened a wellness center, you probably wouldn't have had time to do your podcast on top of juggling everything else. I started thinking about how mine and many other lives could have been affected by that, and I looked down and saw a fucking gold glittering maple leaf on the floor. Some of the things gold is said to represent are illumination, compassion, courage, magic, and wisdom. I got instantly that fuzzy feeling that you guys are exactly where you need to be. Here's my first NDE story and why I think you're doing just what you're meant for. I was always the weird
vow of poverty.
I was always the weird little kid that listened to Coast to Coast and talked about aliens and spirits in my bedroom. I instinctively knew about reincarnation while still in a high chair and was incredibly hypersensitive. I did drawings and sculptures that freaked my mom out and often struggled with panic attacks as a result of feeling constant anxiety mixed with homesickness. A life of weirdness and trauma right off the bat. I spent so many of my years feeling totally alone and crazy. I suppose it was only natural for a 20-year-old me to get into an abusive relationship and start shooting up cocaine and pain pills. I thought, why fuck around? I got super sick after only 3 months of using, sick to the tune of total organ failure, sepsis, endocarditis, and now I can't read it, endocarditis and double pneumonia. All at the same time. The heart surgery I got in 2014 was apparently not related to that incident, as the surgeons didn't know how to operate on me. It was less of a common weird thing they only found in children, but that's another story. So I remember dying in my dad's basement and feeling completely okay. Seriously, like coming home for the first time in forever. Then I heard a man's voice in my head, booming and very stern, say, "Turn over." I refused. Picture a bossy little kid being super snotty to their parent. That was me. Why should I? I then lost control of my entire body and my body turned itself over. I felt like I was inside a human suit that was moving on its own. I felt no sensations whatsoever. I laid there for what seemed to be forever, laughing and talking to the many weird and comedic beings surrounding me. I finally heard my dad's voice from the doorway and he rushed me to the hospital. According to the doctors, if I wouldn't have turned over, I would have drowned in my own lung fluid and died there right in the basement. They all said I would definitely not survive for long. I spent 2 weeks in the ICU and another 3 in a hospital room with the name Falling Star written on gold and a gold star on the door. How apropos. That was 9 years ago on May 5th. It's a miracle to be alive today. Now on to you. In the weeks before I found you, I was thinking all the time about how much I wanted to meet some friends who talked about the shit I was thinking about. People who empower others by being themselves and embracing whatever thoughts or ideas come to them. Unafraid to explore and question the world and its realities while remaining grounded. I love Bill Hicks, so I wanted that sharpness too. Right before I found you, maybe a day before, I was feeling angry and confused about my whole life. Like I made it all up or I'm just crazy. This odd sense of chaos and cloudiness that started in out of nowhere. Immense insecurity and self-doubt. I couldn't shake it. Almost like I was being deterred from something or punished by something, if that makes any sense. Your show popped up on my Spotify afterwards, and the Moai art instantly caught me, like Richard Dreyfuss in Close Encounters messing with his mashed potatoes. This means something. This is important. This heavy shadow dispelled almost immediately after playing your first episode, and I wish I could remember which one that was. Grimerica is what gave me direction towards my own answers exactly when I needed them. I don't feel lost anymore, and I'm finally discovering who I am and what I'm doing here. If you had opened up that wellness center, I don't think I would be so well on my own spiritual and healing path. Your goal was to heal others, and you absolutely do that every day without realizing it. I speak for myself, but I can safely assume that there are many others who feel just as I do. People whose words open up in crazy whose worlds open up in crazy significant ways just because they found you. You guys have a gift, and there are people who can feel it. I don't mean to be a weirdo fangirl, but you guys fucking move me. Don't ever feel like you missed out. You're exactly where you are and where you need to be, and I truly believe you two have big things in store for you. Wow. Yeah, thanks. Glad.
Yeah, thanks.
Glad you found the Moai.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's
thank RPJ for that.
Red Pill Junkie, yeah. Yeah.
Moai.
I had that feeling when he did that art too, that I'd already seen it somewhere. That was pretty weird. Totally got a deja vu, like that art.
Deja vu.
Yeah.
Here we are.
So yeah, thanks Jenna, and good luck with your healing center, and thanks for the awesome email. I've also I've got
Sorry, it was us. You stumbled upon.
Yeah. Yeah. No, but I'm glad it's resonating with people. Just having honest conversations. I think that's kind of what podcasting is becoming, right?
That's what it's supposed to be, yeah.
And that's why the media is kind of on the down.
And it makes it all worthwhile. It's
all so fake, right? It really just shows now how fake and put together everything else is. I got another email here from a new listener. Kind of along the same vein. Hi there, I've been waiting to write some feedback to you guys, but while listening to some of your back catalog, I heard you were interested in how people find the show, so here's my story. Oh, I stumbled across you guys on Spotify. While being known for being a music platform, they have a pretty good selection of podcasts as well. I scrolled heavily through the science section with space in mind and having a somewhat recent interest in X-Files and a long-time love for fringe science. The colorful logo caught my eye, as well as the doobie-smoking Easter Islander, and for the cherry on top with a UFO. The Shakespeare episode with Alan Green was the first one I listened to at the beginning of February this year, and I haven't stopped. I'm totally hooked. Like many who turn to podcasts, I started a job with a long commute. I'm interning in a winery which is shy of a 2-hour commute one way. So I'm very thankful for the lengthy episodes which get me through each drive, as you and your guests open my eyes and blow my mind. Some days when I'm able to listen while working around the cellar, I'll fit in 3 or more episodes. Therefore, I've been bouncing around the back catalog quite a bit and appreciate the audio upgrades. Needless to say, I'm now a proud monthly supporter. Thanks for your support. And yes, we've tried to...
Aboard.
Darren's a bit of an audio, what do you call it? An audio file or something, where you like to try and make sure the audio is good. I have my conspiracies around that, whether he makes his audio sound better than mine.
My voice is just better than yours. Get over
Could be. So she says, before this gets too long, in the intro of one of the recent episodes, you guys mentioned the movie Arrival.
I've never seen it yet.
I haven't? Okay, well, we'll save that for another show. Since started listening to your show, this movie pops into back into my head. I'm really curious if you guys have seen this movie or if you will see it, because I'd love to hear what you think of it. Anyways, thanks for all you do and keep on keeping on. Looking forward to the next episode. That's from Claire. Thanks, Claire.
I will see it soon. Probably not till...
I thought you'd seen it already.
No, I kept trying to watch it, but it was crappy quality.
Oh geez.
I'm not going to go to the theater for it. It's not going to happen.
Well, it's out of the theater now.
Oh, is it?
Oh, yeah. Probably for a few months.
Is it on like DVD or something? I don't have a DVD player.
You got iTunes, right? Just rent it on iTunes.
Oh, I never even thought of that, you know. It's playoffs.
Are you really paying attention to that? Yeah? Watching the
it's the
hockey?
playoffs, yeah.
Really? Who's playing?
Tonight? Well, we're playing Anaheim, which is not good. And fucking Adrian is in Anaheim, I'm pretty sure. So we have a little Twitter battle going on.
Who?
One of our supporters.
Oh, yeah.
Is an Anaheimer.
Oh, yeah.
He's a Ducks fan.
Apparently, wasn't there something about we haven't won in Anaheim in 24 years or something?
We haven't won in Anaheim since like 2006. It's only been like 11 years.
Oh, 11 years. 24 games or something now.
28 games. No.
28 games. Really?
So we're going to lost the other day.
No way.
Well, tonight's a big one. If they lose tonight, they're in trouble. If they lose tonight, then they're in their heads and it's game over. If they win tonight, then who knows? Anything's possible. They need to win this one in Anaheim, or I think that they're in trouble.
What's the score?
It's 1-0.
Oh, that's it?
For the series?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
But then these new group of players has it in their head that they can't win at Anaheim now either. Like it's been, my kids are only 5 and 3. Double my kids' lifetime since they won in Anaheim.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
good. And then I got the new VAX documentary that I forget fucking buddy's name. It's like Ty something or other. He did the cancer one way back in the day. Where is it? I had his name here someplace. Let me find it quick. Worth mentioning because this is going to come out tonight, and I think, oh yeah, Ty Bollinger. So I'll find the URL, but anyway, it's going to come out after the fact. But then I think it's like $200 or something.
Wow,
to
really?
buy it.
Wow.
But right now it's free for 24 hours each.
And
episode.
it's a series. Each episode is
like 7 or 8 parts, and they're free for 24 hours. And then I think instead of buying them, I think you can go and rent them from that site as well. Pay $2 to rent it or something like that for 24 hours. But it's it's all just vaccine facts. Blah, blah. So 2 hours a night. I watched the first 2. I've watched the first 3 episodes.
And they're good. They're worth it.
Yeah, they're good. Yeah.
It's pretty crazy how we talked about vaccines years ago on the show, and it felt like
it was super polarized. I don't know that it's getting any better. I really don't.
Well, I think it's opening up. I mean, I think people are realizing.
I tell you, the more I look into
effects.
it, the more I'm happy with the decisions that I made.
Which are?
Not vaccinating.
Your kids?
Yeah. I'm sure I'll get some hate mail for that, but there's no way. There's no way that you could convince me to shoot that shit into my kids.
So it's changed, and you're looking at it a pretty unbiased, skeptical.
Well, yeah,
way.
it's my kids. I had to make that choice. We had to make that choice 4 or 5 years ago with our kids, and I'm sure that I know we have listeners that don't agree with those decisions. But,
yeah,
I mean, I'm not an idiot, and I took everything. I mean, it's a big decision when it's your kids.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think that in our lifetime, this is going to be the big one. When the fucking American people and the Canadian people, and I mean, a lot of our vaccines are outlawed in other countries. And I think in our lifetime, when they find out that they were fucking with people's kids without doing proper studies.
Or with doing studies and messing with the data.
Yeah, or even not. The fact that they're unsuable is beyond my comprehension.
This is the vaccine companies.
Yeah, so they convinced Congress back in like the 70s that if they kept getting sued, that they were going to get out of the vaccine business because it wasn't profitable because they kept getting sued over and over and over and over.
And that scared Congress because
they said if we ever get a biological attack or an outbreak, then these factories won't even exist to make the vaccine to cure whatever happens, right? Because I'm sure there is a possibility that something could happen where you need a vaccine.
Infrastructure still there.
So then they said that they can't be sued. But there is a fund. 75 cents from every vaccine sold in America goes into the Vaccine Injury Compensation Fund, which has paid out already almost $4 billion.
Wow.
If you look up the legal definition of vaccine in the States, they are unavoidably unsafe is the legal definition.
Unavoidably unsafe.
Yeah, basically what they're saying is that all we can guarantee is that these are probably safe for most of you. But basically, so the righteousness of society has decided that in their fucking wake, any kid that has, because it's kids that have disorders going into them, or maybe a disorder you don't know about yet, or whatever, right? Or who knows? There's no long-term studies.
Right.
So it's just like, but I mean, we know for sure something's going on. So it's just like we've accepted the fact that 1 or 2% of the population is expendable in the name of herd immunity, so that you don't get the measles. The measles aren't a fucking fatal disease, bro. They never were. They might have been back in the fucking 1700s and shit when we didn't have heat or cleaning or hot water or fucking whatever.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it's the chickenpox vaccine is the one that blows my mind.
Right.
When I had the chickenpox when I was a kid, all my friends came over and had baths with me so that they would get the chickenpox. I scratched one. Still got the scar.
Right. So.
And now it's a vaccine. So what does it do to our bodies to not deal with these things on their own?
Yeah.
Right. The measles and the chickenpox used to be a rite of passage. And now you just shoot a kid that's 2 years old full of some aluminum and shit.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of other crap in there, right? They have to add
right? So for some of them, in order to get the response that they want from your system, they need to add the aluminum. So the problem is that they add the aluminum and then they make it all in polysorbate 80, which can now attaches to the aluminum and attaches to their shit and now can fucking walk right through the blood-brain barrier.
Wow.
Because aluminum can't pass the blood-brain barrier unless it's attached to polysorbate 80, which is the medium that they use to hold it all together. So now this shit can just freely travel in and out of your brain. And And I think, and a lot of the doctors on there aren't even active anti-vaccine. They're just like, we need to, if anything, it needs to be spread out over, say, 7 or 8 years, as opposed to the first 3 years.
Yeah, right.
Because it's something like, I think the chances of autism go down, like, you know, by a large percentage once a kid hits 3 years old.
But then what worries me is it's not just the immediate effects like autism, but it's all the long-term effects of putting all that shit in your body.
All this shit, man. These fucking old people that are getting Alzheimer's and brain cancers and all this shit probably fucking goes back to the shit that there's a reason
in the 50s.
Nothing is supposed to go directly into your bloodstream, right? It's not supposed to happen. There's a whole bunch of shit in the way that's supposed to stop that from happening. But
and what you're saying is that in the 70s,
we just bypass it.
So in order to keep the infrastructure there, just in case there was some biological attack or some pandemic or whatever,
they scared Congress into making them unsuable.
And now, even if something happens to people...
So now what's the point on taking the extra time to do the extra tests and everything else? You can't be sued. There's no downside.
Right.
People assume that these guys are just
out there to help everybody.
Super nice guys, I guess. So, and then the reason, so I think a lot of the problems with like the MMR one didn't happen until they combined them. So when people were getting the measles and the mumps separately, there was no problem. But the two of them together now can combine and fuck you up. I
heard that recently there was a mumps thing where a bunch of people got mumps.
The MMR that you get rubella is, there's like zero fucking, rubella can never hurt you. The only time rubella can ever hurt anyone is a pregnant female. So they throw that in there anyway. And the reason they throw the three of them together is now you have to buy all three.
Right.
Whereas before you might just get the mumps or you might just get the measles. Now you don't have that choice.
I just saw something come up, an article where there's a bunch of people that got mumps, and the people that got the mumps were the people that had the vaccine.
Yeah, that's right.
So what?
Because the MMR is live virus. They put mumps in. They put those three viruses, or they're actual parts of that virus that they put into you. So now you're shedding that disease for a couple of weeks.
Right.
It's crazy. I encourage people to watch it. Like I say, I don't care. And
what's it called?
The Truth About Vaccines.
Okay, I'll put a link to that in the show notes. It's really interesting how
it's wild, man. And when you start looking at how little fucking anything or accountability or, you know, actual real long-term research and shit like that goes into this, it's real eye-opening.
Yeah.
It's all by design, right? There's a reason they want fucking people to attack anti-vaxxers.
Yeah.
Right. Fucks up informed consent when the doctors don't even know anything but what their pharmaceutical rep tells them.
Yeah. Yeah, it really seems to be coming to light, just like the global warming hoax, too. I mean, really, a lot of the stuff over the last few years is really starting to fall apart.
Hopefully they keep crumbling down, man, because we've made a whole lot of mistakes with farming and vaccines and
sugar,
fucking everything. Like, we've
all
really
the chemicals. I mean, I was thinking the other day about how, do you think that women seem like they have chronic issues and sicknesses a little bit more than men sometimes? And I wonder if it's all the chemicals that they put in their, you know, their beauty products and their makeup and all the stuff. Because I don't really, you know, put much.
We fucked up a bunch of stuff for sure.
And there's so much chemicals in processed food and our stuff. Like
anyone who's naive enough to believe that everything is hunky dory right now and that, you know, all the shit we're doing is fine, and they're like, you know, how Rogan says we're in the pinnacle of fucking civilization, maybe in some ways, but not in a whole lot of other ways. Like there's a whole bunch of shit we're doing now and we've been doing for the last 100 years that people need to start fucking noticing now ain't cool before it's too fucking late.
Yeah.
Because that's what'll happen. It'll just be too late. That'll be the end of it.
Yeah. Right on. Well, thanks for the rant.
Yeah.
Good to hear your rant.
Yeah, I can rant too.
Yeah. What do you think?
Darren and Graham are going deep. It's a profound UFO quote of the week.
All right, this is a quick one. Oh, should I include my dream?
No.
Last night I had a dream of a sighting. There's a whole bunch of us. And it was this like moving object in the sky, like sitting there. And it was folding over and shining. And I was trying to get everybody to pay attention to it. And people were like, they just didn't even care. But I'm like, look, that thing should not be flying in the sky right now. And I was trying to videotape it with my phone. And I couldn't even get it. I got this shitty little picture of it. It was terrible.
Never get it with the phone.
And there's a whole bunch of people around me, and nobody just gave a shit. I was like, "What? This thing flying around?"
You got to buy one of those lenses that you snap on.
And then I did a Google search in my dream, and it was actually I saw another sighting that was exactly the same, and it was apparently this big clock flying through the sky.
A clock?
Yeah. And then Zeus actually found me. He came to see me from like 60 miles away. My cat.
Yeah.
I'm serious.
And there you have it.
Oh, yeah. So here's the UFO quote. Flying saucers are probably real extraterrestrial spacecraft. That's from Project Sign's estimate of the situation. The final report issued by Project Sign, which began in 1948 under the auspices of the Air Technical Intelligence Center, in an effort to solve the UFO mystery. They studied 243 cases before issuing this final statement to the Pentagon.
What is it?
What?
I'm sweetening your shit while you're stumbling around.
Yeah, I'm done. You're not paying attention. You're on your phone.
I got it. All right,
Good one.
Enjoy the chat with Dana. Actually, before that, check out grimerica.ca/support. Help us keep these long, uninterrupted chats with people like Dana. And, get new cords and
improve our audio.
Fix broken shit.
Pay off debt from the investment.
Studio debt. Yeah, there's a ton of stuff. So check out grimerica.ca/support, guys. Sign up for a monthly if you can. Do a one-time donation if you can. If you can't do those things, tell your friends about this motherfucker.
Chat.
Join the chat, grimerica.ca/hangout. There's about 110 people in there that are chatting it up all the time. What else?
We pop in now and again.
Yeah, we pop in and out. So check out all that stuff. Check out everything in the show notes. Go into the show notes right now. There's a bunch of shit Graham's got in there, and do all that stuff because it all helps. And a lot of it's free. Most of it's free. There's like 9 out of the 10 ways to help the show are free.
Yeah.
So, anything else?
No, I think that's about it. Thanks for all your emails.
Yeah, thanks for everything. Enjoy the chat with Dana.
We got Dana Durnford with us tonight. He's the nuclear proctologist. He's been looking into the nuclear situation before Fukushima even happened, and he's got a lot of hours on the coast. We're talking to him from the Sunshine Coast right now. We'll get him to spout out all his stats, but he's been living in the water for many, many years, and he's been looking at this issue, and he's been an advocate, against this nuclear power for quite a while. So welcome to the show, Dana. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Yeah, thank you for giving me an opportunity.
Yeah, you were just mentioning there when I actually thought Darren was recording. You were talking about, what started to highlight some of this problem, like California water, and how once you start looking at this picture, like nobody has a cohesive picture of this problem, especially after Fukushima happened. And then I thought we should probably start recording before we have to repeat ourselves there.
Well, like you start off with, Japan had a massive earthquake, and each of these, and the system you use is a 1 to 10 scale. And this 1 to 10 scale, in that particular, they used also 1 to 7 scale, but this one was in a 1 to 10 scale, and it was a 9 out of a 10. And what it done was, it was felt in Florida 30 minutes later. It's traveling at, the tsunami that come with it was traveling at around 600 miles per hour. And so when it's not very far offshore, it dropped 170 kilometers of the coastline straight down, 7, 8, 9, 10 feet, and just generated enormous tsunami at high speeds. This is updated at very high speeds, 400 kilometers of the coastline. And in that 400 kilometers was roughly 15 nuclear power plants, or reactors, and 4 power plants. They were all inundated with water, and they had lost ability to cool these facilities. These facilities generally within 2 hours, because it's 1 million gallons a minute, will go into a partial meltdown, and that is layman terms where they can't get near it now because of the energy being created by it. It's an instant death sentence to go close to it. And they got nothing they can do, just get out of the way and hope for the best. And so they never thought it could happen, really. And this is why they allowed, allegedly, this to work that way. But everybody, if you look at the history of these things, we know that was possible. So we started having meltdowns over a 3-day period, detonations, explosions. And we were now looking into 6 years of basically covering up what happened.
Has it been 6 years already?
Yeah, it's just past the 6-year anniversary, March 11th. And so over the last 6 years, we pieced together in increments.
March 11th, Japan date?
March 11th, Japan's date, yeah.
So would that be March 10th here?
Yeah.
I think so. That's
birthday.
Richard.
It's your birthday?
Brutal.
Yeah. Awesome.
You were turning like 27 when it happened, 28 when it happened?
I would have been turning 30.
Oh.
So they had these meltdowns, and what happens with a meltdown is kind of like a forest fire. A forest fire, anybody live within 30 miles of a forest fire can really quickly imagine what I'm going to say next. But a forest fire is very visible. But we understand intuitively what that means is if you're driving down the highway and there's a forest fire and the wind's blowing across the highway, you're going to have to put your windows up and, get through that little section, and it's going to be stinky and smelly and blah, blah, blah. Okay. But a nuclear reactor, we don't see it quite that way, but that's exactly what's going on. In a nuclear reactor, we're talking about 9,000 degree Fahrenheit temperatures. And this is cannibalizing and consuming and atomizing and aerosoling and with ionizing product, fission product from a chain reaction, which is the animosity equivalent of a dirty bomb, releasing this into our environment. It's an invisible enemy. You can't see it or smell it or hear it or feel it or taste it or pick it up or throw rocks at it per se. And so you got this invisible thing that's wafering through, and it coats everything. It's electrically charged. It attaches to, you breathe it in, and it attaches to your inside of your lungs. And where it'll burn a hole through that, it'll sequester in your muscles, your organs, your bones. And just an incredible host of 1,800 illnesses, autoimmune deficiencies, injuries that are associated with the inhalation of these radioactive isotopes. You only need one to manifest into a cancer 10, 20, 30, 40 years down the road. It'll sequester in your organs or muscles, and your body attacks it relentlessly with white blood cells, and that displaces the red blood cells in your body, which carries the nutrition and the oxygen throughout your body. And so with that persists for decades until a tumor takes over, and then you're diagnosed. And before that, of course, there's heart, liver, lung, respiratory, pituitary, adrenaline gland problems, autism, diabetes, heart, liver, lung will show up long before the cancers. But if, because of the accident, you're eating it all the time or breathing it all the time or washing your clothing in it, then you're going to become more susceptible to a lot of these illnesses a lot more quickly. And this is, you'll see this more strongly, of course, in Japan. It was over 860,000 excess cancers the year after. Canada and British Columbia, Canada in particular, and America had suffered large numbers of infant mortality directly after 6 weeks following Fukushima. There was another 22,000 heart attacks in North America from a 6-week period following Fukushima. It was an abnormality at the statistics over the last couple of decades and was correlated and attributed to Fukushima radioactive fallout. I've been covering the WikiLeaks Fukushima files for the last 4, 5, 6 days. And today was really startling stuff where the WikiLeaks files were showing how Stratford, the intelligence agency, which was the middleman for all the other intelligence agencies, were talking about what's going to happen as it hits the coast of North America, when it's going to hit, how it's going to coat everything, the food and the water is going to become contaminated.
That's in the WikiLeaks, them talking about that?
Page 6.
Jesus.
Yeah. Page 6 of the USS Reagan Foils. You'll find that one down close to the bottom. And you go through 6 full pages of these files. It's like unbelievable, just a mind-numbingly amount of material. And then you finally find these little tidbits. And it's like, wow, I'll have a headache for like a whole week for that feller. But that was worth it. And I covered that and showed that. And everything I do, I show it as I'm talking. If I'm talking about the reactors, I'll show you those pictures in the background. If I'm talking about any aspect or facet, the minutia, I'll show you those actual peer-reviewed studies, those documentations or those headlines or whatever, right as I'm talking, because that way you don't have to repeat yourself, and that way everybody is able to educate themselves instantly and come back and go look up that stuff themselves and just take their time and meander through it.
Yeah.
And so kind of digressed a lot, I'm sure. But generally the reactors all melted down. There was a big cover-up. We finally confirmed that each building was different in Chernobyl. Chernobyl was 1/3 the size. Chernobyl was 30% meltdown. Chernobyl allegedly stopped after 10 days. Chernobyl was equal to 400 Hiroshima bombs over those 10 days. So about 40 Hiroshima bombs a day. And Fukushima were some of the biggest reactors on the planet. In Japan's reactors that melted down that are confirmed. And at the top of these buildings was a decade to 2 decades, even more, of reactor cores stored. And so they were in a very vulnerable position for any kind of an accident. And they had the worst type there. Now, when you lose your cooling there within a couple hours, it's a meltdown. And 400 kilometers of the coastline got scrubbed and chewed up like a wood chipper, is more appropriate way to look at it, for up to 10 kilometers inshore. And so everything was completely disabled. There's no way to get power in. The buildings were destroyed. There was nothing to plug power into. And then they come out with a kooky cover-up. But what in the background, what was happening is we had this amazing release, this incredible, unbelievable, hideous amount of material from each building, upwards, way over 6 reactors per building. And number 3 reactor was the mixed oxide fuel building. Mixed oxide fuel is where they took the missiles, nuclear weapons, and reclaimed the uranium and plutonium from these 30, 40, 50-year-old weapons. Now, when this material goes through a chain reaction, it's 2 million times worse than what it was originally when it was refined with heavy chemicals, etc. And so it was already hideous. You put it through a chain reaction, 2 million times more worse. Then you reclaimed it through a very complicated process, made it even more hideous. And now you're going to put it through a chain reaction again. And so it burns up to 200,000 times hotter if it goes off, and it did. And so the dispersal, the atomization was really bad immediately. And we're talking about an enormous amount of material, and stuff that didn't go boom and puff up in the air went into a supernova mode up to 9,000 degree Fahrenheit temperatures or more. And so that's able to consume anything around it instantly, but it's sustaining itself. It's humanity's biggest fear, and rightfully so. It's this thing that's creature that's unleashed basically upon the planet, creating this hideous, invisible cloud that wafers high into the environment and is carried around the planet and dispersed evenly all around the planet. And then the basis of the food chain is affected immediately within the first couple of years, dramatically, highly visible where you see the phytoplankton literally wither and disappear. You see the squid, the herring, the sardines, the anchovies, the mackerel, the basis of the food chain for mammals, for the energy cycle, disappear. And then you see the animals cannibalizing each other and the emaciation of the bigger apex animals. And this is emblematic of radiation sickness too, which would accumulate, say, like in the apex, the killer whales, they can eat halibut or otters or birds or porpoise, and of course they did, or whatever else they wanted. And now we see here in North America, all of them are emaciated, and all the whales we see anyway, besides the killers that we find dead or all emaciated, had died. The same with the birds. And so it's because the squid and the sardines and herring and the anchovies and all the other small migratory, these were the animals that sustained large migratory groups, millions of birds, and was common to travel with the anchovies or the squid or the herring for months at a time and feed upon that along with all the other animals. And so once we've seen those chains break apart, you can predict how it basically is going to play out, but nobody really knows because we've never seen something like this. We don't have any kind of literature on this. And so, data is so important, but there's no way to stop it. Apparently, from what I've seen, it was wiped out fairly quickly and in the smaller sections. And so the tidal zone would be the spot you would want to look at. And the tidal zones would have, say, 700 algae, 480 species of worms, 70-odd species of sponges, different colors, highly visible colors. Then you would have 78 species of starfish and 76 species of sea anemones, all coming in multiple colors per species. You would see the incredible diversity of insects in that tidal zone of up to 30,000 species. You would see over 6,000 invertebrates without the backbones, like little shrimps, and a lot of them are easy to see with your eyes. And so there would be this incredible smorgasbord of colors and diversity and everything else. And so this is a healthy ecosystem, and Jacques Cousteau had said about the British Columbia coastline that it was the best cold water diving on the planet, bar nothing, because it had such a diversity. And what's really going on there in that section is that, unlike the east coast of Canada, where you have big ice, say pack ice about 200 miles offshore, and the wind blows it all on the shore and it scrubs the coastline for the first 30 feet or something on the shoreline, where you have 200 miles of ice being blown in on the coastline. You can imagine how that scrubs the coastline. Well, British Columbia doesn't have that happen to it. And so the low tide zones, you have 26,000 islands in British Columbia. So you have this incredible diversity of shelter and fjords and inlets and archipelagos that it's just an incredible, beautiful underwater coastline. Totally at low tide is a very big tide, up to 24-foot tide exchange on the coastline. Most of it's 15 feet or so, but quite a lot of it is up to 24 feet. And so there's this huge disparage going on in tidal zones. You have the Rocky Mountains, and then you have the tropical rainforest all along the coastline, which feeds the whole coastline, mud and nutrients being washed off from the tropical rainforest throughout that whole coastline and the Rocky Mountains itself. And so you have this whole beautiful ecosystem, but also it's very vulnerable to something like radiation. The radiation comes in, hit the Rocky Mountain, and the clouds lose a lot of their payloads and washes it back down to the coastline. That goes through all your estuaries, your rivers, your lakes, and your ponds, et cetera, et cetera. And so at the top of the mountains is ice, glacier ice, which is 2, 3, 4, 5,000 year old glacier ice. The glacier ice has disappeared over the last couple of years. We documented that on the expeditions I've taken on this coastline. And what that means, though, is this cold water was regulating the lakes, streams, the estuaries, the rivers, and all the way down to, and including the coastlines, particularly during hot summer months. And this has been doing this for millenniums. And once you knock that out, all the insects and flies and small fries will perish. The insects will perish. They need that cold water coming down to maintain those temperatures, why they exist in that environment. And there's a lot of microclimates along the entire coastline that are dependent upon it, that incredible diversity. And so the Pacific Ocean would have 4 million species in it. We've lost most of them at this stage by far. And all the big animals, sea lions, seals, whales, and birds have been found en masse dead and all starved to death. And so the rivers are in desperation. They're claiming 100 million salmon are missing at sea, but they never even made it to sea. They died over the last couple of years in the rivers and the estuaries because of the cold water was missing. And so, because they have this census over decades of how many species would come through, and they know those species couldn't be found. And that's why the headlines came out that way a few weeks ago of 100 million salmon missing. But the rivers are, the salmon can't get up the river. The last couple of years when it was in drought, because there was no cold water or no water, extra water coming down from the mountains.
Are they trying to blame that on global warming then?
Sure, yeah. They'll blame everything on global warming. Everything gets blamed on global warming. Global warming is nobody knows what it is, but it's global warming.
Yeah.
Climate change.
There's no definition of what climate change is, though. It's a word.
So you're saying that climate change, well, I mean, we all know climate change happens. Nobody's going to deny that. But you're saying that this event at Fukushima could have caused some of this climate change on itself, right? On its own.
That's right. And what I'm talking about here is high winds, storms, which we've never seen before. Up to 235 mile per hour confirmed multiple times. The Philippines and China, Tonga, Fiji, Mexico was 200 miles per hour. We just seen Australia tore apart, and the winds there hit confirmed 163, sustained 30 hours, sustained up to 163, and after 30 hours, the wind dropped down to around 100 miles an hour officially. And people came out from under their beds and stuff like that and said, "Oh, well, it's only 100 miles per hour out there. For some reason, it feels okay." Because they just went through hell beyond. It blew out the entire frames on both sides of the houses. I've never seen anything like it. Nobody else has either before pre-Fukushima. And so gram of this stuff is 1 million watts. And just because you atomize an aerosol and release it into the environment don't mean you turned off that 1 million watts. You distributed it out to 1 million watts. And so the one that hit the typhoon that went and swept across Japan converged with another typhoon that swept across Japan and went over, took out 36 provinces in the Philippines and displaced 50 million people permanently and turned 30 million coconut trees into projectiles. Stripped the land, stripped the pavement off the roads at 235 miles per hour winds.
Wow.
It turned everything into projectiles. It was the most frightening thing I've ever seen. And then we've seen the same thing in China where 500 million trees were stripped several months back. 500 million in just one area. And 235 mile per hour sustained type winds. These are tornadoes. And normally a tornado is just, say, a quarter mile wide and lasts for maybe 2 minutes or 6 minutes for a long one, whereas these lasted for many hours and were hundreds of miles wide and just lingered there and just leveled everything. And so it heats up the ocean, which further also fuels these storms. And now you're talking like up to 7 degrees confirmed of heat in the ocean that they try to explain away with just ridiculous assertions and conjectures. But if you put the actual inventories into the models, then the models look correct. If you put the inventories of just one of the reactors in there, when these reactors melted down, they had no fresh water. Now you need a special type of water to cool down the pools, but the pools had already detonated. Just hid it away for the longest while till we got, like you say, 5,000 pictures finally of these things. And what happens is they're spraying the salt water and they're creating this phenomenon of this sulfur peroxide hydrogen buckyball effect. It's where you hot water or salt water, the sulfur comes in contact with this very hot heat and creates these little spherical balls like a soccer ball, except it's able to ingest the particles and the atoms with the isotopes in it and turn it into little nuclear engines. They're much more powerful, particularly the Unit 3, the mixed oxide fuel to reclaim uranium plutonium. But when you're spraying the salt water all the time, you're talking about an incredible amount of water getting atomized in aerosol and released into the environment that came in contact with a fission product. Normally we call it tritiated 3H water. But I'm proposing that it's much more different than this, because we're talking about 9,000 degree Fahrenheit temperatures. We're talking about enormous temperatures anyway. And the sulfur in the buckyball, that effect, they're not soluble in water, like the normal isotope, and so they're not, soaked up and distributed that way, or able to contain it a little bit more better that way. They're very mobile. They don't need jet streams. Like, we know from air pollution, forest fires on the Asian Pacific, how it comes across and how pollution comes across, and automobile and industrial pollution comes across, and adds to the indexes in North America is what I'm suggesting by saying those words. But by spraying the salt water on it all day, for instance, you're looking at, say, 4,000 nuclear weapons going off. And so when you're doing this for like 40 days in a row, it's probably a lot more than that. But when you're doing this from 40 days in a row, because you're washing material down on top of 9,000 degree Fahrenheit temperature, no matter what it is, it's atomized in aerosol and evaporated back into the environment. And so generally, when you think about forest fires, why it makes it over here is because you got so much temperature, right? So it drives up the particles. They're very big particles compared to what I'm talking about. But anyway, it drives these particles way up, and they're able to find their way to North America. These particles are so small. Now, it works this way where I'm just going to switch gears for a second, because I want people to really consider what's going on here. Is that a gram of natural stuff, you can, like potassium-40, you can eat it, it's not going to hurt you, it's irrelevant. And you do all the time in your food. It's in your body can only accumulate so much. It's called homeostasis. Mm-hmm. You can't contain any more in your body than is already in your body. Your body knows how to deal with it through genetic superior selection over, like everything else on the planet. We live in harmony with that kind of stuff. But a gram of a gram of natural stuff is about 160 atoms of potassium per gram that are active, say. But you can't, there's not enough energy to light a light bulb. But a gram of man-made is 1 million watts. Now, that's roughly 88 times 78 billion atoms. And every atom can hurt you, give you an illness and a disease or an injury decades later. And so one has 160,000 atoms, can hurt you, the natural stuff, but the man-made is 88 times 78 billion. And that's why it has 1 million watts, so to speak. That's it, right? And so if you atomize an aerosol, you still got 88 times 78 billion atoms. And when you do the equation of how much was in each building, and then you do the equation of, say, spraying water on it perpetually for 6 years, let alone the salt water, sulfur peroxide, hydrogen buckyball effect itself, we've unleashed this incredible monster upon this planet already. And it's never too late to do the right thing, to go try to deal with this, right? Because we're sending in the homeless, and we're burning it in the incinerators over there throughout the country, which, of course, you're burning it at, say, 3,000 degree Fahrenheit temperatures. The jet streams come over here. It's like dirty bombs coming at us all the time. We're really, truly in deep water. We're truly in deep trouble. The longer we ignore it and pretend this is going to go away, or someone's got something under control, or anybody even knows what they're doing down there. Because we're taking homeless and destitute and the victims of society, the immigrants who don't even speak the language, and sending them in there. We're not sending in Harvard or Yale or Berkeley or Stanford or MIT or Oxford or any of the shakers and movers. We're sending in the people that are going to make mistakes, are going to create problems, are going to make sure there's no way back. I'll shut up. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, that's a good summary. Thanks. I mean, it's brings lots of things to mind. Like, there's a couple things I got. Like one, I'd like to talk a bit about the, more the conspiratorial societal impacted this and why there's so much cover up, because the nuclear industry doesn't seem as big compared to like fossil fuels and all these other things, yet obviously there's enough influence there to try and cover this up. But then you just don't know what to believe these days either. Like we've had people, we've talked to people that think that there's not a lot of radiation and it's no more than the allowable background limit. So how can these people say all that? And then how is this big cover up working?
There's a million corporations. For the first one. So you got a million corporations. You got all these countries dependent upon it. Each power plant got 1,000 or 5,000 people dependent upon it, and the chain of supplies. Yeah. Each of these facilities are top dollar. People are getting double the wages. There's a lot of money. Each community is dependent upon it. Now become their tit. So to speak. And so they have this whole apparatus of public relation firms that'll puke up every law. There's a million excuses. Which one you want to hear? Tell you attitude, and they're maniacal in their beliefs. So the whole industry's existence is predicated upon bananas and potato chips and walking in the sunshine and getting on airplane fables. And so when people like me come along, everybody. So they'll say, "Oh, Dan, I don't see no mass die-off of people." No, but there's diabetes and Alzheimer's, dementia and autism and heart and liver and lung and respiratory right away within a number of years will show up. But nothing shows up literally right away in North America. We're 5,000 miles away. But the fact is that all the studies and all the animals died within about 5 years when just one single monodispersal inhalation exposure. Dr. Raymond Gilmedy from Loveless Respiratory Research Institute look up those studies in the big old dogs and big old puppies over 35 years. And I mean, no matter how small the dose was, you've seen the tumors showing up. And so the next question, go ahead.
Well, no, I mean, what my friend, my sister and her friend got diabetes, and apparently they were doing this research on diabetes, and apparently the border to the U.S. and Canada has way more cases of diabetes than multiple sclerosis, I'm thinking. I wonder if that has anything to do with multiple sclerosis. And it's all on the border of Canada. There's way more cases along the border.
Canada has 18 running reactors right on the border of Detroit, right on the Great Lakes, and Lake Superior is all contaminated. And so you would see all kinds of other things show up. Right away, like there's 6 times more breast cancer within 15 miles of a nuclear power plant. But the study should be done all the way up to at least 50. And when it comes to, it's everything is hid away. And that's the whole thing. The whole history, if you go look at it, they always tell you it's like a banana and a potato chip or walking in the sunshine or getting on an airplane. But the studies showed all the animals died. And so every time somebody says something to me about, well, Dan, if it's this bad, how come this and how come that? And then the question should be originally is, wait a second, you tell me why they always taste like a banana and a potato chip and walk in the sunshine when terrorist laws are because it's not. Right, we have the incredible sarcophagus designs because it's got nothing to do with bananas. Every time we have an accident, we got to evacuate the area permanently. And so there's all these connotations. There was over 3 million children with permanent disabilities from Chernobyl. And Chernobyl was a paper towel compared to the inventories at Japan. But the people that argue don't provide the documentation of their argument. They just come out and it's conjectures. I provide the documentation in all of my videos. And I mean, I'm not the most eloquent person on the planet. I don't even want the job, but I don't see anybody doing the job. And, I'm attacked by all the intelligence agencies. I have all the industries coming after me. I have the mining companies coming after me. The stock exchange coming after you. You have all these thugs on Wall Street coming after you because the price has gone down nonstop and I won't go away. And I'm kind of basically single-handedly keeping this front and center every day with these 1-hour presentations that I'm attempting to do to try to have a conversation. But I'm tortured nonstop. I'm vilified and victimized and attacked. I have 6 gag orders against me. I have every reason in the book to walk away, but I have every reason in the book that I can't walk away. because I went out and done the whole coastline, 15,000 miles of the coastline, 260 days, documented it. And for the people that don't know any better, it probably doesn't mean much to them. For people who don't understand what species counts are all about, or what the previous counts were like, or were never involved in any of these industries, it might not mean much to them. I can't help that. It's not my fault that they don't have the ability to look up that information, understand the very basis of the ecosystem. It's kind of like, to me, it's natural, but to a lot of people, it seems foreign. I can understand that. I can appreciate it. But to an academic, if someone was to, I'm just going to end on that, say if the New York Times was to try to flush me out, they get a marine biologist to look at my site and look up what it should look like there, and then they get it. You know, you don't, like anybody with any kind of authority or is authentic, they would approach it and say, okay, well, he's got a really strong point there.
Yeah. And then you've experienced this change on the West Coast yourself, right? So you've had a lot of time beachcombing, in a sense, and
14,000 hours underwater alone.
14,000 hours underwater?
That's right, yeah.
Wow,
I was a commercial diver, yeah. And so I ran, commercial dive operations in both oceans, both the Pacific and the Atlantic, but mostly Pacific. And it was such a beautiful, incredible diversity, and it was such a pleasure. And anybody that explored this coastline, there's many, many, many books out there available pre-Fukushima for people to really go look at. And all of them talk about the incredible diversity I listed earlier. Yeah, go ahead.
And you've seen a change for sure.
It's 19 straight months.
And then you went, and then you went 260 days along the coastline fairly recently to study the stuff a little bit deeper.
No, I've been out 25 times this year on my boat, but I went 2014, 2015, and done the whole coastline of Canada repeatedly over 260 day.
Wow.
And that was roughly 15,000 miles. We documented it with 1,000, 2,000 pictures of the coastline each day with GPSs and posted it up at my site. Did try to have a conversation. And we have, right? We've had a lot of conversations. I've probably done 300 radio interviews or something.
Wow.
But the point being is that people don't seem to be aware, and you can't eat the stuff out of the Pacific Ocean anymore. What's left out there is highly bioaccumulated material, and it's just now deadly. It's toxic to the human species and everybody else in itself. We're looking at the death of the Pacific imminently at any time at all. And we're looking at just this mass awakening right behind that at that stage. There's no way to stop this, and they're going to try to control it. They've been hard at it for 6 years. And the truth has to come out. We have to fight for the future. This is no longer, like, people don't realize the world's changed, and within the next year or two, everybody, because they're putting this off, we're not getting the opportunity, then we're setting ourselves up for the big fall. We're setting ourselves up for the big hit. We're all gonna pay the price because we won't have a debate. We're all gonna suffer the worst. Everybody's gonna lose everything because we won't have a debate.
Yeah.
And the people that are extremely wealthy and informed are long gone out of the way. But all the minions that are enabling this, they're gonna suffer the most. All the people who said it's like a banana and a potato chip and walked in the sunshine won't have anywhere to hide. Their families will turn on them. These are predictions that you would expect to happen as the story comes out. It's called rage, and I've seen it in other cultures where rage takes over, and I'm seeing it already over the last couple of years, and we're seeing why the cover-up is so intense and why they're so vicious and violent, because they have the worst people in charge. The people in charge are just thugs, and you can't cover it up. You can't cover up the death of the Pacific because 3 billion people depend upon it.
Yeah, and we can't even debate anything anymore. Anyways, everything gets so polarized, right? Now it's, extremes, anti-nuke for pro-nuke. And I mean, you can't even have these proper debates anymore.
Well, pro-nuke is based upon predicated lies. Bananas, potato chips, walking in the sunshine, getting on an airplane, sleeping next to somebody, and that it's everywhere that's good for you. Right, and so the people that got the education and that are saying that's it's an unforgivable betrayal. It's the biggest breach of academics I've seen yet, anyway.
Huh.
What? So if we did decide to have that debate today, what would be, what can we do? Like, I've heard stories that those things have melted down a couple of miles into the ground at this point.
Yeah. Well, the containment will breach at around 1,600 degrees, 1,700 degrees or so. And then it's long gone. These things will hit 9,000. Now, we got to do some pretty weird stuff coming up here. Once we have if we had a real conversation, we got to come up with technology to deal with that. So we got to treat it just like a meteoroid coming at the planet. And so that, if we had a meteoroid coming at our planet, we have no problem getting on with it, right? Dealing with it, the whole planet coming together and coming up with technology to survive it or move underground and whatever.
Yeah.
So we need to approach it the exact same way for water, for food. We got to get rid of the GMO, switch off the war machine, and put all that energy and that expertise into controlling all the nuclear on the planet and putting it in, creating sarcophagus. And it's only at that stage where we can start to reverse anything, because as long as that stuff is out there, it's hemorrhaging into our environment. And a nuclear power plant, just the pools are hemorrhaging 120,000 liters of this is an incredible amount of dirty bombs all day long. The Iraq war, if you look at it that way, for instance, Iraqi war, I would look at it this way, where they had 4 bomb manufacturers in the United States making dirty bombs or depleted uranium munitions. And Albuquerque, New Mexico, was making, there's like 1,800 people there. Mm-hmm. And McAllister, that's all he do is make dirty bombs all day. The A-10 Warthog, that's all it shoots is dirty bombs all day. And so, we have all these other facets, including medical. We're treating people, allegedly, that 97% of them died before they would have without it. We're treating them with nuclear waste that should be in a sarcophagus for endless times. We're giving that to the victims of cancer, and that'll kill them, 90% of them quicker than they would have without it. And so, it's just every animal died in every study, millions of studies. We use the stuff, and we have polluted the whole environment, and we have to change that side of it before we can hope for any kind of a future. Yeah. So that's unbelievably daunting, because you got China and India and Pakistan and Russia, and we've got all these dumps and estuaries and rivers and communities and underground abandoned places that's got to be cleaned up. We got all these dumps out into the ocean. We dumped nuclear waste out there because we didn't know what to do. We couldn't leave it in the community, so they snuck it out, contractors, and dumped it. We've had, used it in weapons and wars. We can't get the stuff out of the environment itself per se, but we got to get rid of GMO. We got to plant organic seeds everywhere. We got to start breeding insects and redistributing it back into the environment. We got to come up with solutions to get the glaciers back on top of those mountains. And there's all these incredible things that we can do as a species. If we were to go to work at it, if we were, where we want to go to other planets and terraform them for us, right? Why we destroy our planet to force us off our own planet. I think it's more like there's nobody in charge and they went too far.
Yeah.
I don't know, right?
It's out of control. Yeah, it's out of control. It's not. It's almost past an intentional conspiracy. It's just like in industry and institutions running wild. They can't stop. But it's like
they built it originally right on a spot where it had to go bang at some point, and they knew what the repercussions were when you put all the fuel pools on the top of the buildings. And so they were looking for it to happen.
Well, I was going to mention that. Do you pay any attention to the conspiracies about the earthquake, being caused by
Jim Stone?
Do you have any thoughts on that at all?
Jim Stone, yeah, no, I done video about it. I debunked it. Well, you got to go down all these stories because you don't know. That could be true. Yeah. You got to go check it out. You got to see if it's real. So 174 miles of the continental shelf allegedly was taken down with a nuclear weapon. That's ridiculous.
Oh, that's what they say it is.
That's how it starts. Well, they don't tell you that part of it, but they say that the continental shelf, it wasn't that. They tell you there was a detonation offshore, created a tsunami, and then the tsunami come in. Now the tsunami, that part of it is really interesting. Where first he said the earthquake didn't exist, and he quotes the great earthquake in the 1990s, which was on land, which was shallow, right? If you listen to his video, it's ludicrous. Now he made up this story. He tells you right there that he's sure this is happening because a nuclear plant can't blow up. So it's all about, right, protecting the nuclear industry. There's South Korea connotations there because the military base for the Americans has been there for, 50 years or something. Mm-hmm. And nuclear is, like, you can see it right now in the media, how important that nuclear aspect of it is to these people. The whole industry is like, oh, we're going to have a nuclear war, yay. But, okay, so Jim Stone has this incredible story where they put a nuclear weapon at the power plant. Right now, I got 5,000 pictures of that power plant, of those reactors, and there's no way there was a nuclear weapon used anywhere there. I would see that evidence. There's no way to miss it, you know. It would knock down everything for a square mile. So it wouldn't be just blow a top off a building. That's ludicrous to even suggest. But this is what he had suggested, and that they were watching it from a satellite. They had a radio receiver, and just as the tsunami was about to hit it, they blew her. And, like, what? Okay, so I got to go out and disprove everything he said, so I did. It's totally ludicrous story. And it's just disrespectful that anybody would even consider that was real or realistic. And that, right, you don't, like, people that in real life that might say, Dana, you should go watch that. You're like, don't come over to my house anymore, man.
Well, what about somebody causing the earthquake itself? Like, not hoaxing
170 miles. 170 miles of that one. Look, I don't doubt that if you put your mind to it and you had all the equipment and everything at your disposal, you can make an earthquake. Why couldn't you? Yeah. Like they've done that with nuclear weapons where they took out big caverns. Absolutely, that could be done. Yeah. But that's not what we're talking about. It was felt in Florida 30 minutes later. We're talking about an earthquake that 400 kilometers area was just hit with a tsunami for up to 2 kilometers in or 10 kilometers in. How are you going to see damage from an earthquake when you got a tsunami just ran through that country? Like, if you go look at those videos of the tsunami coming through that country, you're not looking for evidence of an earthquake anymore because there's just too much carnage everywhere to try to pick it out. But there's no reason to deny that happened. We have documentations of the building swaying in Tokyo, which is what you would expect. We have documentation of damage throughout the places. And that when you go and look at the evidence that he talks about, Iwadi and other places, I made a video and debunked it all. It was that simple, that you had no choice but to do it. There was no truth to it. And I don't like people like that are making it hard to have a conversation, making it impossible to have a conversation. Because literally everywhere you go, people want to know about this stupid one-off video that showed up on the internet and somehow or another has some kind of validity when it's ludicrous if you actually look at it.
Well, it could be controlled disinformation as well. I mean, I swear to God, every type of
100%.
controversy that comes up, that, you know, whoever's trying to control the narrative throws out all this extreme disinformation, and then it just throws everybody off the trail.
I'm doing a guy today, listening to him, and he's talking about how people were spraying core exit on the reactor core when it was melting down to put it out. This is the same core exit for a BP oil spill to have those connotations later in the conversation that's what killed all the species on the coastline, not Fukushima. And so, like, I was chopping that into the video today, and I'm laughing so hard because it's so ludicrous that if you were close enough to look in at the core, it would melt your organs in a matter of a few seconds. You would die right there, petrified or liquefied, literally.
I see what you're saying. You can't just go in there and start spraying shit around. Yeah.
You can't. If you can see it, you're dead instantly. With 900 feet of it, and you're looking at it, you're going to die. It's X-rays, neutrons, and gamma shine, and these bursts of energy that are just like, we've seen it after Hiroshima bomb effects, where the women would squat down and excrete their uteruses and roll over and die over the next 10 minutes or something in agony because their organs had melted because they were close enough for that gamma shine to hit them, right?
Jesus.
And the studies on the Hiroshima people were on the exterior, not the interior. And so the betrayal, I can go on for hours. And once again, I have 60,000 studies on radiation. I covered 13,500 headlines and cherry-picked that to the point now. I'm so good at all of these facets and feet on the ground out doing the whole coastline, documenting the species, the birds, the insects, And it's a labor of love, I'm sure, where I don't stop. I'm the real deal. I'm interested in facts. I'm looking at every conspiracy theory out there and been forced to sit there for hours and hours and hours and research everything to make sure. Because if it's true, it's true. If it's not, it's not. And if it's not and it's being used as a weapon, then I have to deal with it. And so I have to be able to talk it out and explain it and walk people through it and persuade people that to move on. So a lot of his stuff is predicated upon the earthquake didn't happen. And then that if it did, how come I didn't see all the damage we did from the 1990s? Well, that one was right on land, right under land, and like very shallow, right under a very populated area. Yeah. And so no matter where you're to on the planet, if you have an earthquake right under your butt, yeah, you're in deep trouble, man. You're going to get that shaken of your life. The shallower it is, the more lateral movements. Huh. This one was offshore, 36 miles out. This was 18 miles deep. And bubble.
Right? So what? I can't remember if we were recording when we were chatting about what to do, like some improvements we can make in our lives to help, counteract this type of stuff, like eating, obviously, eating better. Is there other things that you would suggest people do to, because sure. I mean, like the West Coast, there's tons of people on the West Coast. Like, does it make it past the Rockies? Like, are we in danger here in Alberta, that kind of thing? Like, or is it already too late?
Oh yeah, we're all in this same boat. But, it makes it past the Rockies, no problem. It loses a lot of its payloads when it hits the clouds hitting the Rocky Mountains, but it's coming in through the jet streams through the upper and lower troposphere too. And so there was huge numbers hit the Rocky Mountains. That's where you had all those forest fires out there, because you're not seeing the decay because the biota was killed off for the most part. And you've seen that in Chernobyl too. And then for taking care of yourself, well, like if you got a filtration system, say for your water, people say, well, then you can't get all the radiation out. What's the sense? Well, it's getting some out. And that's really good. It doesn't matter. It's not going to get it all out. It's going to get some out. And it's the same thing with an air purifier in your home. It's not going to get it all out, but it's going to get some out. That's huge. That's huge. But you got to change your filters regularly too. And if you eat healthy, so if you eat GMO, then you're talking about glyphosates and formaldehydes and toxins and dioxins. And, I can cite studies where corn, for GMO corn, you'd have to eat 428 GMO corn to get the same amount of calcium, magnesium, iron, carbon, and cobalt as you would from a single organic corn on the cob. So 428 GMO to get the same nutrition as you would have a single or organic one. And so it's best to grow your own food, get your greenhouses, and if you're in a cold climate like Alberta, you can dig down 10 feet and make like kind of you can support that no problem wide. And then you can grow vegetables there all year long because you're way below the frost line and the sun will shine all the way down there, no problem. And all the protons will make it down and you can supplement it.
What about iodine or something like that, or iodine supplements or...
Well, it's too late. Iodine, it's okay to have some iodine supplement, absolutely. But cesium goes into your... now, iodine is for your thyroid, but cesium will also go and aggregate in your thyroid. Your thyroid's a gland. Your gland is not like an organ where you can maybe get a transplant or you can get some kind of repair to it. But the gland is a very vulnerable one. Anyways, what I'm trying to articulate. And so, yes, one thing in your diet, generally, if you eat healthy, you'll get natural iodine anyway. And so iodine is something you would take 24 hours for an accident was going to happen, that you knew it was going to happen, the plume was going to show up, and you would load up your thyroid gland. And once your thyroid gland is exposed, the damage is there for life, and it might not show up for decades. But now your thyroid regulates a lot of your body temperature and your fat and a whole lot of things about your body. Your thyroid is actually regulating a whole bunch of functions in your body. Now, you have to eat good. And then the most important thing, though, and this is water. And there's such a thing as what's called structured water. And this is water. Yes. Like iceberg water, say, would be considered structured water. It's not touched by man. deep inside the iceberg, where this water is 100,000 years old. So it didn't have any chemicals added, didn't go through electrical pumps and stuff like this. But you can buy machines that will create water back to its proper structure. Scientists don't know why it does this, but they do know how to do it. And water, of course, is the only thing out there that exists in all three forms: ice and solid and gases as a liquid. And so anyway, structured water, by just spraying the water, scientists discovered they were able to saying the water, thinking water was enough to cause the molecules of the water to change.
Yeah.
But you can actually buy a machine to do it too. But you can also just say, thank you, water.
Yeah.
And so how weird is that one? And now structured water, the plants grew 30% quicker, 30% faster, for instance. And structured water, your blood would unplate. So cancer victims, their biggest problem is plated blood. And structured water would unplate your blood. And so there's all these different studies on water. BOA was a Russian study translated. There's a bunch of studies on structured water. There's a bunch of disinfo on all of these subjects.
Yeah,
incredible,
of course, yeah.
Unbelievable, hideous amount of disinformation.
I wanted to really get into structured water, actually. Like, in another episode, we've been thinking about talking about it, like the fourth phase. I mean, I haven't even looked into it enough, but I've got a bit of a water filter, but I need to buy something better. And then I've also heard you can restructure your water as well, even by just pouring them over crystals or like salt, like Himalayan salt rocks, and leave it in the sun with some glass. Like, have you heard of any of that type of stuff?
No. I heard talking to the water, thinking the water. And
we post affirmations on our water jugs.
You post, you do that?
Yeah.
You put affirmations. So like you write it out and then tape it on?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that's not true. I have to look into it.
I have them on on the water I use for watering my garden and my drinking water.
Yeah, I've been meaning to do that on mine, and I haven't done it yet.
If there's I would take just about any suggestion when it comes to water and try it, and if it works, it works.
What's the machine? What's the machine you talked about getting?
I don't know. I always think my water, and I just I'll tell you another interesting one about water. There was an experiment, kids won a contest where they took a scallop shell and they put it in the oven and got rid of any parasites in it. And then they put it in muddy water from a mud puddle on the side of the road. They took a liter and dropped a piece in there. And within 24 hours, it was clear, beautiful looking water. They took 3 different samples of water. Another one where they took battery acid and they put scallop shells in that. And what that done was it turned the water to the acidity of a lemon, or the battery acid to the acidity of lemon. This was on the Discovery Channel years ago. And another experiment they had done, I can't even remember now. But anyway, it was 3 very unique experiments. Another thing, I'm just going to throw out there, was seeds, like for your plants. If you put them alongside your router, your wireless router, they might not germinate. And that was another different experiment. So there's other things going on out there in your homes that might affect your experiments.
Yeah, totally.
Was just I want to throw out one or two for people. But you do want to grow your own food. It's very simple. You can be surprised. Like, grow herbs like turmeric. I always call it turmeric because I'm from the East Coast originally. And it was just one of those words, like chummy was show me. So if I want you to show me something, I wouldn't say show me. I would say show I that chummy and show me that thing, more or less, right? So show I, that's how you would say it, chummy. And that meant that chummy, the machine, what thing or whatever you got in your hands at the time. But you still can't break some of those habits. You can't. Like, you don't understand it's there, and it's out there, and you're like, oh my goodness, did I just say that?
Yeah, you've been out here for like 25 years or something, right? You still got that heavy accent.
You can't get rid of it. You can't shake it. It's horrible on the VHF radio. If I ever have emergency Coast Guard, it's going to be like, what? What are you trying to say, buddy?
Are you from Newfoundland then, or?
I was originally from Newfoundland.
Yeah, I used to translate for my buddy. I used to play hockey with a Newfie friend, and he was really thick. Like, he was from Bonavista Bay or something. And
some people are
nobody could understand him, and I'd have to translate for him.
Yeah, you're pretty good in that case.
I can speak Newfie pretty good too.
Yeah,
drink a bottle first.
I got a bunch of buddies from CBS, Conception Bay, pretty thick.
Oh yeah. No one's going to hold it against you, man.
I'm actually honorary. I did the whole...
That's a joke. Yeah, sorry.
I got screeched in.
You got screeched in? Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, Newfoundlanders are notoriously for making fun of themselves and other people, but making fun of themselves. They're extremely, like, I'm ridiculous. Once I start out, and I'm not going to humiliate myself tonight for anybody, but I can and have and would normally. So, on the drop of a hat, if it makes someone smile, I'd probably do it just for that part. But I don't have much humor sometimes, but you never know it. I do seem to have I have this raw sense of humor, and it comes out in my shows. It's pretty raw. And so I try to hide that away from everybody because that don't help shit. But
yeah, you can get a little cynical probably. Yeah, Newfies have good hearts.
I would love to sit around with a bunch of nuclear scientists and just, like, you can just go at each other. Yeah.
I'm going to get your way in there one day.
They would sleep for months after I was finished with them.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, because like what they got done and what they've done for 70 years, they've lied about every facet of it to everybody. They got an education, right, and they know better, and so you're going to put your faith into them, allegedly, and then they betray you. And then your universities and institutions and your governments and your media all use the exact same tactics for 70 years upon the whole population, and then you have major accidents with real effects, like the death of the Pacific Ocean. Man, that's you. Oh, you can't top that one for a long time, I bet you. Because, buddy, when that one comes out, whoa.
No, they're just blaming it on us and global warming and us little carbon polluters. You know, now we got to pay a freaking carbon tax here, and because of this global warming hoax, and then there's all this other stuff going on the West Coast. So I don't know, it's crazy.
Yeah, if you didn't have the die-offs going on everywhere, they'd be okay. But unfortunately, that's going to blow up in their face real soon, and they know it. They're feeling it now. They understand it. They see it. They've done the studies themselves. I aggregated it, and they know the jig's up. The whole planet, we're all in big trouble, and we're all going to lose everything we covet if we don't find a way forward.
So is that what you're doing now? Like, what's your next couple of steps here? Like, what's your short-term future and your goals here? Keep this up, or
stay alive for another year at least, anyway, because they're definitely out to kill me at this stage. And like I say, 6 gag orders. They demonized and vilified me so much. Usually that's when they kill you after that one. He was depressed. We had to kill him. He suicided. He shot himself in the back of the head with 2 different guns.
You got to stay away from small planes, hot tubs, and bench presses.
Oh, yeah. You got to stay away from everything, man. And do you got any idea what I'm actually like in real life? What a character I actually truly am?
Oh, it wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, the stuff I'm into. Yeah, they're going to get me. No problem to get me.
I don't know.
It's gonna happen at some point.
No, but that could be. That's also a testament to maybe what you're uncovering here, right? Because they're pretty serious about gagging.
Yeah, 6 gag orders is not a joke, man. If I smurf up, they come and get you. They always come in the dark and knock on my door and say it's the police. So what? Yeah, you got flowers or something? Guy, he's not here. No, you got to go gut up and deal with it. You got to face it, and you got to take the beating and burn your bank account. And that's what happens each time you burn your bank account till you got nothing left, and you got to get out and put it together and make it happen. And so over and over and over, this is the tactic used on me, where they just burn me to death. They've broken me every step of the way. They burnt all my resources. They bankrupted me repeatedly. They destroyed me in the community. They've done everything humanly possible outside of just come and kill me, which I've begged them to do a few times now. Just come and get it over with, man. I don't care. Let's get it on. Let's get it on. Because obviously that's the only way anybody's going to listen is when you guys finally kill me. Oh, Jesus, too bad you're killing. You're such a good guy. Go listen to that stuff. I can see it now when I'm gone.
Yeah, you'd be a martyr. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you got it. Great. Just what I never, ever wanted to be.
So you got a lot of support from the other side as well, though, too?
I got I don't know what I got. Who knows? All I know is I produce these little shows 5 days a week, tell the story the best I can, and educate the ones that are trying, and educate and console the ones that need consoling the best they can. But the best way to console people is tell them the truth. And because I think everybody's mature enough and responsible enough to deal with the truth. Even though they might not seem it, if you give them the truth, you give it to them in an environment where it's all there with a few light moments.
Yeah.
You can, it's not such a, it's like a horrible story, right? How do you tell the story? And I can't find anybody who can console me out there that can tell the story. And I've got an incredible collection, inconceivable. But I have this wish that, like, until I see hope, I can't stop. Until I see a way forward, I can't give it up or back down. And I'm under siege. Like, it's a feeding frenzy on me all the time out there. You know, anybody who's trying to work out who I am, then they're going to hate my guts before they find out who I actually truly am and come across my real sights and understand that I'm actually just, I'm a good people. I'm solid. If somebody was attacking you, I was coming down the road, I would run those over with my vehicle. At least do that much for you. I'm not going to leave you there to be beaten to death on the side of the road. Let's put it that way. And there's a few shortcuts I could take, and I would.
So if people want to check out your work, they can go to your website, Nuclear Proctologist.
Right. And if you can't get there, go to Beautiful Girl by Dana on YouTube.
Right. Yeah.
And you can watch my 1 hour shows 5 days a week. You can see today's show or yesterday's show. The day before I got taken down, I got attacked. I've been attacked so much the last 3 or 4 days is really something.
On YouTube? Specifically on YouTube? Or?
Specifically on YouTube. And yeah, I'm attacked everywhere. But specifically on YouTube, at my site, I've been attacked heavily.
Those ads. Well, now they're clamping down, right? All the corporations are pulling their ads, and now they're calling ads. All this stuff. Well, that's strange.
I don't do ads. No, I don't do ads. I'm being attacked with thumbs down bots, people.
Yeah.
Like you get 170 thumbs down in 30 minutes on a video, you know you're in trouble, right?
Yeah.
You know you're being targeted.
Yeah.
And so that's what I mean. I'm being pounded by stuff like that. And we know who's doing it to me, right? We got the videos of them telling their subscribers to come do me. So they're weaponized sites coming after you, being used to bludgeon you. And then I'm attacked from every single angle in every industry. And I document it all the time. That's what makes me unique, I suppose. But I just, I'm not going to go away just because everybody's wants to think it's like a banana and potato chip. I don't see the option, What am I supposed to do?
Yeah.
I got to take those hits. That's all I see.
Well, keep up the good fight, and we really appreciate you coming on the show. And we'll keep an eye on your work for sure.
Okay, appreciate it. It was a good show. We went an hour and a half or something, so that was spot on.
Yeah,
good stuff.
Yeah, it usually flows pretty good there, and man, thanks. Thanks for giving us the lowdown on that. And
my apologies to the audience. It's a tough story, and it's hard to tell the story, and that's the way the story came out tonight. And it's basic of the story. We gave you everything we could in a nice tight package, but
yeah,
like you say, I'm pretty burnt out from the constant attacks and the feeding frenzies.
Yeah.
And it just kind of wears you, and that's the point. That's still a win for them, right?
Yeah.
Point,
if people want more than this interview, there's a lot of YouTube videos. I was watching some of them myself there, and there's a lot of your content there, so they can go and find more out about you.
Yeah, it's a good way to do it for sure. Okay, Appreciate it, guys. You guys have a nice night. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, man. Enjoy the Sunshine Coast there.
I will. So.
Okay, bye. Yeah.
Take care.
Okay, bye-bye.
I was a chat with Dana Durnford.
Durnford.
You're all gonna die. Sorry, guys.
Yeah. He's got some pretty crazy YouTube videos about when he was going on the coast, like up the coast there, and looking for the light, like coast life, and it's like pretty much gone. You're like, holy shit! Like it seems like there has been a bit of a destruction, and there's really like media silence over the whole thing, right?
Could be trouble.
Yeah. What do you think?
It's tough to say. What are you going to do? What are you going to do?
Well,
putting those things on the coast was never really a great idea.
I like the analogy of the forest fire and the smoke, and really like the meltdown, and then just the invisible shit flying
all over the place.
Yeah. Can't be healthy. I do question
can't be
people
healthy.
like, Rod Adams who come on and say that it's no worse than the background radiation allowance. I don't know. That just seems hard to believe.
Think he's getting paid?
I don't know about that. It's just, maybe it's just that's what he thinks, I mean, he's pretty connected in there though. So you think he would have the truth too, right? It's another one of these things where you just don't know what to think, right?
Well, I'm interested to know what the listeners think.
Yeah.
So let us know what you think. Let Graham know what you think, and he'll let me know.
If he was bullshitting, you'd think he wouldn't be attacked so much.
That's right. Gag orders.
And he's been arrested too, I think, right? Something about University of Victoria, like
he got arrested because I think he called for the deaths of one of the scientists.
Oh.
In a video.
Yeah, that's not a good thing. Yeah. Huh.
That's trouble.
Yeah.
But, I mean, could just be passion.
You could have been joking.
I'm just kidding, man. Anyway.
How many people are calling for the death of Trump?
Thousands.
Are they getting arrested?
That's right.
That's just going to be, you're going to be allowed to do that soon enough.
Yeah, it's going to be encouraged. Mm-hmm. Anyway, big thanks to Dana for coming on the show. Check out his stuff, guys. And let us know what you think about this one.
Yeah.
It's a tough one.
Yeah.
It sucks when you can't do anything about it. See what happens.
Well, you can grow your own food and you can take care of yourself.
Yeah.
That's about all we got left.
Yeah. Which I do. I like I was thinking you could really just dig a huge hole in your backyard and cover it with a fucking glass dome or something.
Well, that Richard, who was on our show there, he sells those geodesic domes, right? Where you go underground and you have that dome. Just make a few of those.
Throw your food down there.
Yeah. Grow some broccoli sprouts. Apparently those are so healthy for you.
You'd live off just broccoli sprouts?
And you can't even buy them. Like, none of the stores got them. I haven't even found them in Calgary.
Just micro? So it's just grow them. You could grow that shit in your window. Oh, it is just baby broccoli.
I just don't want to take that step towards growing shit. I can't grow plants I can't keep plants very well. It's not work. It doesn't work for me.
Okay.
You grow them and I'll come here and
you touch my shit.
I'll buy them the seeds for you and you grow them.
You'll buy the seeds and I just do everything else. Thanks, bud. Yeah, you'll just give me the $3.
I'll help you pick the weeds every once in a while too.
All of my greens are growing under grow lights. Spinach, lettuce.
Are you building a greenhouse or something you're talking about?
I'm building a greenhouse Easter weekend, maybe.
Oh, no, you can't. You're going to load too many things up that weekend. This is what you do. Right? You're going to podcast all weekend and do the new venture there, but then you're also going to try and build a greenhouse. And then you're going to have everybody here podcasting, helping you move shit around for the greenhouse. I'm going to be moving fridges out of your basement, and I'm going to be almost fucking killing myself here.
It's good for you. I'm going to get plenty of tomatoes.
Trick people into manual labor. You are the manual labor trickster.
Plenty
Are you
of
coming
tomatoes.
over tonight? I got to move something. Move a piano, move a fridge. Like, you're always moving something big.
You didn't have to help with the piano, did you?
Right. Well, I did to get it down, and then I missed getting it back out of the house.
It's at the dump now.
2 years later, we got to move it out now, guys. Change of plans.
Come on down. All right, guys, big thanks to Dana. Support the show if you can. Check out grimerica.ca/support. And maybe one day I'll be able to hire movers.
Yeah.
Not anytime soon. Not this right. Big thanks to those of you who do support the show.
What I was going to say, though, was instead of building a greenhouse, why don't you do the geodesic dome?
That's a big fucking hole to dig.
No, they're only like 8 or 10 feet or whatever. I would help you dig a hole.
Have you ever dug a hole, man?
No.
It's like the worst thing ever. I've dug fucking holes. Just digging up the dirt enough to fucking put in a garden is fucking a lot of work.
Yeah.
Like, and you're going to go down 10 feet? Okay. If you're renting equipment, for sure. You rent a little mini backhoe and drive it down.
Really?
That's what I would do. It's like $100 for a day. Or you can dig
Seems like
for
cheating.
fucking 3 weeks. I'll race you. Anyway, check out Grimerica.ca/support. Sign up for a month if you can. Do a one-time donation if you can. Send in your synchros, your trip reports, all that jazz to graham@grimerica.com. Get some swag over at Grimerica.ca/swag. Review the show. Tell your friends about this motherfucker. Seriously, man. And there's something else too, isn't there? Sign up for the newsletter, Grimerica.ca/news. I think that's it.
Oh, there's the chat. There's the Twitter, Instagram.
Jump
all the other ways
all
the ways to contact us. You can leave a voicemail. All the links are there in the show notes.
We've only got like one voicemail.
Do a review. Do a review on iTunes. That would be fun.
Ideally positive.
Yeah, a positive review would be good. Yeah.
All right, guys.
Negative stuff, just keep to yourself.
Yeah, I'll post it on YouTube. All right, guys. Thanks for listening, and we will see you next week.
Your mind's on fire, all the color red in a blue lagoon. In a storm in Bermuda, you've dive bombed into a seashell swoon. Maybe your easiest dreams make sweet perfume. While you're yawning, yet not breathing in a hospital room. Should I call for help? We are drowning in this ocean swell. Let's start from scratch. Quit living these lies and become unattached. The idea of some far-off future is the fuel for your worries. But for God's sakes, time is eternal. Please do not hurry. Please do not fret. Please act now in a way that doesn't lead to regret. Please stop smoking so many cigarettes, so profusely, so profusely. Should I call for help? We are drowning in this ocean swell. Let's start from scratch. Quit living these lies and become unattached. Bingo, bango, social media jingle. Don't forget to rate, comment, and or subscribe to the Grimerica newsletter. Bingo, bango, social media jingle. Don't forget to rate, comment, and or subscribe to the Grimerica newsletter. Yeah. to bright